presentation now, Maysoon?
Yep.
Fantastic. Yes, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to our presentation, How to Feel Good About Your Emergency Fund. As Maysoon mentioned, my name is Liz, and I am a financial empowerment facilitator at Momentum, which is a local not-for-profit. And so today what we're going to talk about is what is an emergency fund, how to start an emergency fund, and how much should you have in an emergency fund. With the holidays coming up, some of us might be feeling a little stressed about money. So we hope to give you some tips today that will help you to feel positive and feel good about emergency funds and 2022 coming up. All right. So as mentioned, I am part of the money management team at Momentum, which is a not-for-profit. And part of money management means learning about budgets, credit, banking, and saving, of course. And yes, I do run a program for Momentum. It is a new program, and it is called the Momentum Savings Challenge. It's actually Calgary's only app-based rewards that were designed for savers who are living on low income. So it is all on your smartphone on an app. And how that challenge works is we challenge you to save $40 each month. And by the end of the challenge, you'll have an emergency fund started, hopefully up to $500 with some help from Momentum along the way in terms of cash bonuses. So more on that later, but there is more information at momentum.org/savings app. So how Momentum helps you to save money and why Momentum helps you to save money is because we are a not-for-profit and we focus on community economic development. And that means we work with people and businesses to build a more inclusive local economy. We want everyone to feel financially stable, in control of their money. And how we do that, some of the ways we do that, is through our money management programs. Some of them will actually pay you cash incentives for saving. So to date, up to, $4 million has been paid through our savings programs, $4 million in incentives. So when people have saved money, we will give them rewards for saving. And as I mentioned, our newest savings program that offers these incentives is called the Momentum Savings Challenge. It's available on the Cuber app, and more information is at momentum.org/savings app. So I'm just going to start with a quick question. How many of you already have an emergency fund? If you have one, please type yes in the chat. And if you do not already have one, please type no. And we'll just give people about 10 seconds here to type in the chat. Okay. Not sure if it's the right amount. That's fine. Yeah, we are going to talk about that today. Seems you can't get anything into it. Not to worry. We will talk about some tips to help get that going. So seems like there's a bit of a mix, yes and no. And that's okay. You can still feel good if you don't have one right now because you've decided to join today's session, which will teach you how to start one. And that's really the first step. So you can feel good about that. Yep, kind of a yes and no. Oh, yeah. Okay, so what is an emergency fund? You may have heard this referred to as emergency savings or a rainy day fund or a contingency fund. They're all the same thing. They're all a sum of saved money, and how they are different from other saved money is in two ways. You can access the money very quickly in an emergency. So it's not locked down into an investment. You don't have to sell anything before you get the money. The money is sitting there. And the second piece is it is sitting there to use for an unexpected expense or an emergency, right? And it's only there for those emergencies. So that's how it's different from other savings. What qualifies as an emergency? There's 4 characteristics. First, it's an unexpected, unplanned expense. So you may be surprised by it. It is not in your budget. For example, if you lose your job, typically that comes as a surprise, unplanned. The second characteristic is it is necessary that this get resolved. So if your car breaks down and you need that car to get to work, it is absolutely necessary that you get that car fixed, right? Even if you get in an accident and you have insurance, typically there is a deductible that you must pay first. So you need to have emergency savings to help you to fix that problem. Thirdly, it is urgent. If you get sick and you're prescribed medication, right? Perhaps that medication is not covered under health insurance, healthcare or insurance, pardon me. So you need that medication and you need to take it urgently so that you can get well again fast. Another great example is, have you ever come home in the middle of winter and your house felt very cold? And even when you turned up the thermostat, it was still cold. I've had that. And that meant the furnace was broken. So in that case, very urgent that you get that fixed right away. I don't want my pipes to freeze. It's very uncomfortable. You need that urgently fixed. A vet bill is another great example of that, right? Your pet is sick. They need to get well soon. That is another emergency that you may find yourself using the emergency fund for. And then the last characteristic is that an emergency is typically one time, right? And that's why it's unexpected. So if you think that you may have this expense every month, such as groceries or your bus pass to get to work, that is a reoccurring expense and that should go in your budget, right? So that's not typically an emergency. So again, examples of an emergency that we just talked about: a car repair, especially if you need that car to get to work, medication, or a vet bill. So who should have an emergency fund? Well, really everyone. Everyone should have an emergency fund. It doesn't matter if you have a low income or a high income, everyone has emergencies. So everyone should have an emergency fund. Sometimes in an emergency, people tend to rely on high interest loans or credit. But what you need to know about that is that interest on credit cards can be almost 20%, perhaps higher, and that interest compounds, meaning it adds on to itself, right? If you default on your payments, if you cannot repay, that will affect your credit score. And when you have a poor credit score, it is then difficult to get a new loan in future, or if you can get one, perhaps the interest rate is very high. So you can see why that sometimes gets people stuck in a cycle of debt, right? And that's another great reason why if you had those savings set aside, it's actually a lot less stressful than if you had to rely on credit or loans or borrowing from friends, right? Because you have that money within your control. It makes it much easier to handle problems. And then when you're able to handle problems with ease, the greatest part about that is that you can focus on your goals and things that are important to you. So that's a real feel-good part, right? You can start really focusing on things that are important to you. Now, if you don't currently have an emergency fund, and I can see in the chat that a lot of us don't, you don't have to feel bad. As mentioned, yeah, just attending this webinar, that's your first step. So you're planning, you're thinking about it, you're moving in the right direction. And 36% of Canadians do not have an emergency fund. So you're not alone in this. A lot of people do not have one, but that's why we're here today to talk about getting one started, and how to keep adding to that. So there's certain life situations that would make it more likely that you would have an emergency, right? And that makes it especially important to have an emergency fund. Again, everyone should have one, but these risk factors may tell you that it's especially important. Oops. So if you have a car, especially an old car that is more likely to break down, have problems, need repairs. If you have an unstable job, so perhaps you are not sure if you will have this job in December or in 2022. Or in some cases, we're not sure of the hours we will have at work. It changes on a monthly basis. That would be an unstable job. If your family lives far away, it's so important to have an emergency fund. And I'm lucky enough that I live with my family. So if they have an emergency, I am there to help them. But if they live far away, it's harder for me to help, right? So they may need help in the form of money. I may need to send them money. Winter is coming, and that can create emergencies that we wouldn't have thought of in the summer. So for example, if the zipper breaks on my jacket or on my coat, in the summer, I might be able to go for a little while without buying a new one. But in the winter, when it's minus 36 degrees out and I'm waiting for the bus for half an hour, I need to have a winter coat that closes and zips up. So winter definitely creates some different emergencies. And then the last one, if you have children, you're looking after someone else, and children can have all sorts of emergencies that we wouldn't typically think of. So these are lots of different risk factors. There are many others. So I'm just curious to know, how many of these risk factors do you have? Type it in the chat, just the number of these risk factors that apply to you. And again, yep, I see about 3. Okay, yep. Oh, everyone has about 3. 3 of these risk factors, yeah. Okay, I see a 4. Yeah, so with each risk factor that you have, it just makes it more and more important to have that emergency fund. Yep, okay. I see anywhere from 3 to 5. Some people have, yeah, line of credit and unstable job. Yes, very important to have an emergency fund then. So I saw this question earlier. How much should I keep in an emergency fund? So there's not really one real number, although we will talk about that. The important thing to know is that it is different for everyone, how much you should keep in there. So for example, a student would have a different amount than a family with 3 children. And the family with 3 children may need a different amount than a senior who lives on their own, right? And it can change over time with different life circumstances. Again, if you have children, if your job becomes unstable, if your car, well, when your car ages, and perhaps you had a new car before that was covered under warranty and now it is not. So the amount will change over time. The most important thing to know though, our number one tip for the day is to start an emergency fund now and save every month. Consistency is really the key to maintaining one and having a good amount in there. But we'll cover more tips later. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, I really work better with a specific goal, a specific number. So I will say this, that what we recommend at Momentum is to save 1 to 3 months worth of expenses, right? Start with 1. Once you have that saved, then work towards 2 and then 3. And then typically people will have around 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up in an emergency fund. Now that can seem like a lot of money. So I want to share a statistic with you. And that statistic revolves around the number $500. So what studies have shown is that if you have $500 in an emergency fund and you are living on a low income, you are actually in a better financial situation than someone who has a medium income and no emergency fund. So I'll just restate that in a different way. $500 in an emergency fund actually puts you in a better place, even if you make a low income, right? But really any amount is better than nothing. And again, the tip is to start now, save consistently. And that's what we try to do with the Momentum Savings Challenge on the Cuber app. We start with $40 and then we try to keep going and going and going. So if anyone has any questions about that specific number, do let me know. We are going to move on though. How do I build an emergency fund? So these are great tips for beginners, for everyone who typed no into the chat earlier. And this is your first emergency fund. Here are some of our tips. Add savings in your monthly budget. So you're almost making it a fixed expense, right? Every month I will save X number of dollars, right? And you really write it in there and you commit to saving that specific amount each month. Challenge yourself to reach a goal. Again, if you're a numbers person, you may think of it as, I want to challenge myself to save $500, right? And then you work backwards, you do the math and you figure out that would mean this many dollars over this many months to get there. The other great tip, know that small amounts add up fast. Again, it can seem very overwhelming to think of the end goal is $500. So know that even just $10 every week, in a year, you already have $520. That adds up. Or even just $1 a day, right? So don't think of it as, X amount of dollars at the end of the year. Think of it as $1 per day. In a year, that's $365, right? So that's better than where you were before, and you're actually getting quite close to $500. Those small amounts really, before you know it. Pay yourself first. And what that really means is as soon as you get paid, the first expense, if you will, that you are going to pay is to put some of your paycheck into your savings account, right? So you're making savings a priority. And an easy way to do that is to automate your savings. That way you don't have to remember to save. And because you're not paying attention, pardon me, the money won't feel missed, and yet your emergency fund will grow and grow and grow. Very little effort on your part once you have set it up. Please know that a lot of banks and credit unions already have this automated feature. Just call client support and ask them to set it up for you, where you are transferring a set amount from your checkings account to your savings account each month. So again, Momentum has the Momentum Savings Challenge. We work with the Cuber app to automate savings, if that is your preference. And we challenge you to save $40 a month through this automated savings app. Although there are many other apps out there, this is just the one that Momentum uses. Okay, and then some of us already have a savings account, but maybe we want to get better at it or keep growing our savings more quickly. And so here are some tips to keep adding to your savings account. Your tax refund. So come early 2022, February of 2022, you should have received all of your tax slips, right? And one of the best ways, if you are living on a low income, to get free money from the government is to file your taxes. It's like putting a hand up and saying, I want to be considered for government benefits. So when you receive a tax fund, a tax refund, it's a good feeling, isn't it? It's good to receive money from the government. So while you're already in a good mood, put a chunk of that tax refund into your emergency savings to reduce stress for later. Money as a gift is a good opportunity, right? Another time where it feels wonderful. And so, you know, you're in a good mood, so you should set aside money for times when perhaps your mood won't be so good. And another example that I like to think of as almost a gift is when you have a loan that you have, perhaps you have loaned your friend some money. I personally, you know, I don't get that money back all the time, but when I do, I kind of see that as a little gift to myself. So then I put that into my emergency savings. Oh, I see a question in the chat. I will just get to that in 1 second. Sell something that you do not need. So this is also a really good way to get rid of clutter, right? So you can feel good about getting extra money and you can feel good about clearing the house a little bit. And because you don't use it, you are selling something that you don't need, you don't use, you won't feel so bad about it being gone, right? Could be a lamp, could be kids' clothes that your kids have outgrown. If you have something that you could sell for a little extra money to put in your emergency fund, feel free to type it in the chat and let us know. You'd be surprised what sort of things people are willing to pay for on Kijiji and Facebook Marketplace. I remember one time my husband wanted to get rid of some cans, and yeah, we were able to sell these empty cans on Kijiji. They were big cans, and a man wanted to use them to build his own barbecue. So yeah, even cans people will pay for. Encyclopedias I have sold to people who were having a book-themed wedding. Oh, I see Paw Patrol. Yeah, Paw Patrol. That is a popular thing with the kids. But yeah, maybe you have some extra Paw Patrol stuff that you could sell. Okay, and then pay raise or work bonus. So another time when you have a little extra money coming in, so consider putting that into your emergency savings. Because what all of these occurrences and events have in common is there are times when you're already feeling good, right? You get a tax refund, money as a gift, feels good to have money coming in. So it's actually also the best time to start thinking about when things are not so good and you're not feeling so great. These times are a good time to put away in the emergency fund. Okay. And then the number one reason why you can feel good about your emergency fund is it is meant to be spent. So feel good as you're saving it up, but you can also feel good when you're using it, right? Because it's helping you to solve life's problems and it's helping you to avoid high interest loans. And then the best way to keep feeling good about your emergency fund is once you've used it, start saving again. Again, very important. You can absolutely use it. That's what it's there for. It's for the emergencies. Just keep on saving once you do use it. And I see that there is another question in the chat, and we will just save those until the end. Thank you. We're almost done here. Okay. So if you want another reason to feel good about saving, we're going to talk about the Momentum Savings Challenge, which will help you to build an emergency fund and give you little boosts in terms of cash incentives along the way. So how it works, again, we are an app-based rewards program for savers who are living on low incomes. So you do need to have a smartphone or a tablet, something where you can download the Cuber free automated savings app. And once you have an account on Cuber and you join the Momentum Savings Challenge, we are challenging you to do this. Save $40 every month. And what we will incentivize you with is we will give you up to $100 in rewards. So that's over 10 months. The maximum you can get is $100. You can stop at any time, but the longer you save, the more you will earn. So again, $40 in the first month. If you can't save the next month, that's okay. You can just click the skip withdrawal feature and then continue on the next month. So far, people who have taken our Momentum Savings Challenge have saved over $250,000. So over $250,000 has been saved in a year. The program has been running for about a year. And so we're really excited about that. And in fact, we are running a contest just for November to celebrate that, where if you join the Momentum Savings Challenge and refer a friend, then we will give you an additional chance to win an additional $100. So that's the exciting thing about the Momentum Savings Challenge for November. And who is eligible to join the Momentum Savings Challenge? You must be over 17 years of age. You must be living on a lower income. And you must live within 150 kilometers of Calgary. So more details on this challenge are on momentum.org/savings app. And there's more details about our friend referral contest for an additional $100 on there as well, just until the end of November. All right, so that kind of covers what is an emergency fund, how to start an emergency fund, and how much to put in an emergency fund. So hopefully that will help you to start an emergency fund, start feeling good about that emergency fund, especially as I mentioned, if you want to join our challenge, we will reward you for saving. So that's another reason to feel good. Okay, and so now I would just quickly like to show you the app. Yeah, the Momentum Savings Challenge on the Cuber app. So I will just stop sharing my screen for 1 second. Thanks for all the great questions, everyone. These are great. We will answer them right at the end, right after this demonstration. And so now I am going to share my screen again. Please bear with me while I find the correct screen. Okay. Oops. Can you see my YouTube, Maysoon?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we will just show you what does the Momentum Savings Challenge look like on the Cuber app and how to sign up. So once you have already downloaded Cuber from the App Store or Google Play, you will open up Cuber and click Register Now at the bottom. And you want to click Join Group Savings Challenge, which is the second button, the purple button, and select Momentum. There's a number of challenges on there. Ours is called Momentum. So this is where it will check to see if you are eligible for the program. It will ask you for your postal code to make sure you live within 150 kilometers of Calgary. And it will ask you, pardon me, how many members are in your household and what is your household income? That is how it will tell whether or not you are living on a low income. So this person qualifies. So now they will complete 2 steps. The first step is to set up their Cuber user profile. It's all the same information that you would see on a typical online profile. Username, password, email. So now that they have a Cuber user profile, they are going to set up their Momentum Savings Challenge. So again, signing into the Cuber app, and just a reminder that the Momentum Savings Challenge is to save $40 a month for up to 10 months, and we will reward you with up to $100. So here is where they are setting their savings preferences. You can tell it when you'd like to start. It doesn't have to be this month. It can be in the new year if you would like. And they are selecting that they would like to save $40 a month. The other option is to save $20 bi-weekly. It's up to you. All right, so here's where they're reminding you that Cuber is an automatic savings app. It automatically withdraws from your existing bank account. Oops. And if you cannot, if you're worried you will not have enough money in your account to make the Cuber withdrawal, we do have a skip withdrawal option. So here they are linking their bank account by providing the information, the same information you would find at the bottom of a check, right? The same information you would provide your employer if you were setting up direct deposit. Please know that the money transfer is not instant. It can take a few days to move from your linked bank account to the Cuber vault, is what they call it. And now I would just like to show you, now that this person is set up, I'll show you what their dashboard looks like. So from here, you can see everything from the date of your next withdrawal. You can skip a withdrawal if you're worried you won't have enough money in your bank account. And you can see when they expect to end the challenge as well. So that's in the details. They can also click on incentives to see how much they have earned from Momentum. So for example, you get $5 as soon as you sign up. And that's our demo. As mentioned, there are more details at momentum.org/savings app. And I will just quickly share the very last slide in my presentation. Share screen. Yes. So that was our presentation about how to feel good about your emergency fund. And if you would like more information about